And that's the biggest part about the military for me is that, yes, the paycheck was stable, but that job for me never felt stable.
Here, Keziah.
Hola.
We are going to be doing Get to Know Me for my friend Keziah today. And I'm excited to get to know her a little bit more. She just got out of the military, which is great. And we'll go right into it. I'm going to start with, what made you decide to join the military? Was it a calling? Was it a crazy idea? Just why not at that time?
It was not a calling.
Okay.
Me joining the military was not a calling. So I was getting ready to graduate from college, and all like the jobs that I was applying to for like the degree that I went to go get, they were like, oh, you need 3 years of experience or a master's degree. And I was just like, I don't have any of that. So it was a job.
What were you doing before, deciding to join the Navy?
I was a student, and then I was working like 2 jobs. So before I joined the Navy, I was studying psychology with psychology and biology. And then I was working as a night nurse for a quadriplegic individual. And then I was working at 24 Hour Fitness. Wow. It was a lot.
Wow. How old were you? How old were Keziah during this time?
Keziah during this time was 23.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like my last year in college.
I see. So was it because you were already in the medical field that made you want to go to as a corpsman in the Navy, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, I know medicine. I've done medicine for like every single job I've ever had almost. So I was like, it'll be easy to do medicine, but then it'll also be easy when I get out, because you can always have a job in the medical field, So that's why I wanted to be a corpsman so bad.
Yeah,
stupid.
That's where I'm at right now. Okay, so it looks like you were in that medical field. Then what made you decide to do real estate? Because you did real estate while you were still in.
Yeah. So it's something I always wanted to do. Like, I don't know how to explain it to people. It's just something I always wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to be like an investor or anything, but I don't know, it's just something I always wanted to do.
Would this be the calling?
Probably, most likely, because even when I was at my first duty station, I was always looking at properties. And that's where I bought my first like property, and I was like, oh, this is fun.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I was just like, okay, like this is it. And I started to actually get my real estate license when at my first duty station, but I chickened out.
Okay.
Because you know how sometimes like you can get in your own head.
Oh yeah.
I got him.
I live in my head. I live here rent free.
I got in my own head, and I stopped myself from getting my real estate license. And then when I decided, I'm like, I'm getting out. That's when I was like, okay, I need a job or a career that I can do and be happy. I didn't want to go back to like the medical field, because the Navy ruined that for me. Tell me I'm lying.
10 years. I have 10 more.
So the Navy ruined the medical field for me. So I didn't want to go do like another medical job. And then I just knew I didn't want to work for somebody. Okay. Like I had spent 9 years of my life working for somebody. I just wanted something that I could do for myself,
So you stayed in the military 9 years, but on your first duty station, you already have your real estate. Would you say a license already? Or,
no, so I started to get the license in my first duty station, but then again, I got in my head. So I stopped. I was one class, literally one class, one class short of being able to take the California exam so I could get my license. But then I didn't get my license until June of 2023.
Okay, so when
I was at my last duty station and I was like, I have to make a move.
Okay.
That's when I got it.
So how long did you have to like figure out, okay, next year I'm going to definitely get out of the military. I need to like step up my game. What's your time frame for yourself?
You know what happened? So we were in the admin office. It was me and a bunch of the other second classes. We were in the admin office, and one of the girls was talking to me about wanting to buy a house, because everybody knows that like every duty station I go to, I buy a house, right? Stay out of my pockets. So she was talking to me about it, or she was living in base housing and she was just complaining about it. And I was just like, well, why not just buy your own house? And she was just like, that's a big purchase. Like, people always say that. So then I started to I went to like a real estate website and I started to break down numbers for her. And I was just like, here's how much you're paying base housing. Here's how much you could be saving. And by the time you PCS from here, here's how much money you could potentially take with you. And everybody in the office was like, yo, you should become a real estate agent. Right? Because I'm like, I've been thinking about it. It's
No, one thing I would say though, and this is for everybody, and I'm saying this with, with good intentions. You are really good at breaking down things. And I say that as somebody who's not very mindful financially. Thank you for like breaking it down to me in layman's term, because it's like, that's something that's like difficult sometimes when you try to talk to somebody in finance, real estate. They throw in words that you're like, what? But then you don't want to sound stupid, right? But I think you have that knack of like, I'm going to explain it as simple as I can possibly do. And I will try to relate that in your situation. And I think you're very amazing at that.
Oh, so thank you.
I'm glad you had that conversation with the second classes. But is there like anything that you learned, say in the military, that helped your career in real estate, that prepared you for real estate?
I think just having SOPs.
Okay.
SOPs definitely help. For those that don't know what SOPs are I forgot.
Standard operation procedures.
Standard operating procedures. So having SOPs like really, really helps. Why? Because it gives you, if A goes wrong, do B. If B goes wrong, flip all the way to the back of the book and call who you need to call. So having SOPs in place or knowing how to write an SOP prepared me for being a realtor, because it helped me with contracts. Like, it helped me understand how to read through contracts, how to break down contracts, how to explain contracts to people. Because, we get SOPs all the time. And then don't make that face.
Sorry, I'm going through something.
I know, you're going through a traumatic situation. But we get SOPs all the time and it's not explained to us. So having to learn how to read SOP, having to learn how to read between the lines, that in itself prepared me for contracts. But then I think just being in the military and interacting with a whole bunch of different people, that helped me engage with different personalities in real estate.
That's good. I like that. With that being said, though, because right now I think, your social media, if you guys are not following her, she's on YouTube, she's on Instagram.
I'm on TikTok.
She's on TikTok.
I'm on Threads and Facebook.
But can you share just a little bit of your social media, what your main topic is about? Like, what do you try to what's the purpose of your social media, if I could say it in that way?
The main purpose for me on social media is to let people know that they can do it too. Like, you don't have to be a chief in order to buy a property. You don't have to be an officer in order to in order to buy a property. Because if I can do it when I'm an E3, and that's the thing I keep telling people is, I did it when I was an E3. Let me show you how to do it, whatever your rank is, right? So
I watch your reels and I'm like, how did I not know about this? when I first joined in, because I could have jump into the market as soon as possible. So I think your reels or whatever the content you put out there is very educational. I really, encourage everyone to check it out.
Thank you. I think that's the big piece that's missing for the military, or at least for junior enlisted.
Yeah.
We don't really get we don't get financial education. We don't. I just want to let people know what's possible with their VA loan. And it really just starts with your VA loan.
Yeah. And I really like the fact that, you break it down and you share your actual experience and process with everybody in social media. And you talked about your first purchasing experience, your first realtor. What would you say is one thing that's scary at first for you as an E3 that's trying to purchase what we usually call that's a big girl.
That is a big girl purchase. That was a straight up adult move. The scariest thing when I was buying my first property was having agents that made it feel like it was impossible. Okay. Because I'm if I think of something, I'm very big on, I'm gonna make it happen. But then the people that are supposed to be helping you are making it feel impossible. So I'm just maybe it is impossible. Maybe I can't do it, And I remember having a conversation with somebody and I was like, I'm just too ambitious for my own good. Because if the agents that sell in Cali are like, yo, you can't get anything for this price, then who am I to say I can, you know?
Yeah.
So that was like the scariest thing, was having agents that were like, yeah.
I am really glad that you brought that up, because that would be my follow-up question is, how would you deal, like, you know, because let's be honest, it's like in real estate, sometimes it's a hustle and bustle type of thing. It's like the market is not always going to be, you know, great for buyers. You know, there would be times wherein, you know, compared to the military, right? Military and real estate. Military is more like you have a really stable income coming in, and stress, of course. But with real estate, right, it's like you get your commissions if you sell a house, right? Typically, you get real estate agents or realtors that are like treating buyers that are kind of like just numbers, you know?
Ooh,
so to me, it's like,
it happens. And I tell people, you wouldn't go to a job without interviewing first, you know? So don't hire an agent without interviewing them first, because you want to know if you and that agent can work together. The agent, if already from the beginning, if that agent makes you feel uncomfortable, why would you go through to work with them?
I love
you know,
that,
so interview your agents, interview your agents, interview your agents. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and to just piggyback on what she's saying, it's like, it's your money, it's your house. It's at the end of the day, it's your decision how you're going to want it. So like she said, know your agent and make sure that your agent know the things that you want. I think I'm very lucky that I had you as my first agent, because she really made it, you know, doable for me. Like I'm a very picky person, but then, you know, that my pickiness is like, don't have the money to back that up. If I could put it in that word. But
let me say, you wanted champagne on a beer budget.
There you go. But it's like, I didn't feel any sort of shame having to come to you and be like, hey, what do you think about this?
That's good.
Right? So, and like, you know, she knows my dogs, and she really like put into consideration when we were walking in the houses. It's like, this would be great for your dogs. You have all the space for your dogs and for your family. And I truly appreciated that. And I just hope that, like, you know, realtors out there would be the same way. But at the end of the day, it's your guys that are wanting to purchase
the property.
Yeah.
But then the other thing too is, I have been that E3 with without money.
Okay.
And I never want anybody to feel how my agents made me feel.
Yeah.
So I try to take my time with each individual, and I try to make sure that I listen to what they want and do for them what I didn't have done for me. And I did the same thing in the Navy too with my sailors. So
I think, would you say then, like, being in the military also taught you a lot about, like, you know, we have this term called sailorization, right? Where we take care of our younger sailors. And I think in a lot of ways you treated me like that. Do you think that kind of applies in your real estate career right now?
Well, yes, because the whole purpose of sailorization is to bring younger sailors along to where they can learn to be good leaders one day, right? Okay. My whole purpose is to bring other people along, not necessarily sailors. They could be Marines, they could be Army, whatever. My whole purpose is to bring others along on this journey. So I want them to have the knowledge so that if they PCS somewhere and I'm not there, they have the knowledge to back up like their next investment opportunity.
Yeah. Is your focus right now more geared toward military, VA loans, or would you say you're pretty knowledgeable too in, like, what do we call it, conventional loans?
I know, like, I can still do conventional FHA. Yeah. I will not discriminate against whatever loan anybody wants to use. But I have the most knowledge on VA loans, and I want to make sure, because only 24% of active duty and vets use their VA loan.
Wow.
And that's not enough people. Yeah. And then in 2024 alone, 38,000 vets were homeless. I want to be the individual that kind of helps eliminate those types of things, those types of statistics. That's my personal goal, is to help eliminate statistics. So I want to make sure that active duty and vets are getting the information that they need to be homeowners. There's no reason why so many of us should be on the streets. Yeah. There's no reason why so many of us should be putting money into a landlord's pocket when we can get it for free.
I think that you're definitely right, because I think it's very sad to see when you're like driving and then on the highways and stuff, you see the signs that I used to serve.
Yeah.
But so I think it's like your platform is a really good place to start if you're considering real estate, or even if you're just like wondering what's out there as a benefit for you if you join the military or whatnot. Well, one more thing though, it's like I want to get a little personal if that's okay. I get a little personal. We know you're used to serving the military. And we know you're now in real estate. What does Keziah do during her free time?
I don't think I allow myself to have free time. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't know. So all the things that I love doing, you can't find them in this town.
Okay.
So
do you think it's because it's like we're now in just a smaller town that you can't?
No, because I've always been a homebody.
You and I both. I think that's why we get along.
Yeah.
So you cannot find Keziah just out there wandering.
No, like legit.
You need to be intentional in your purpose if you want to meet her.
If you see me in the streets, just know it's because I'm doing something. I've found Pilates to fill up my time.
Okay.
That's something that I do. Outside of that, I'm always at the house or I'm with clients or something. Okay. Or I'm drilling. So I don't.
Yeah. Can I just say, even today, we were going to film this and she goes, I just have a couple of consultations.
I do. I had consultations.
And it's, if I can just put it out there, it's a Sunday, you guys. It's a Sunday. Keziah, in real estate, seems like there is no day off. Really, it's like when it calls, it calls.
Well, here's the thing. And the biggest thing for me right now, and I was talking to our friend about this, is making a schedule, because I have allowed myself no free time, that I need to make a schedule to where I can fit certain things into my life.
Yeah.
So it's not that you can't have fun or do other things. I like being busy.
Okay, I give that to you. Do you think then, because I think you're very passionate about, trying to help others, and I think it just so happened that real estate is something that's already out there for you that you were also interested in. So it felt like you just gravitated towards that when you left. But what would you say is like something that's challenging for you in real estate? Maybe like, is there a challenging buyers, challenging contractors?
You were my challenging buyer.
How do they do it now?
I'm not even gonna lie. Is that what they do? Is that what the kids are doing?
Yeah, I think they're done.
I love how we say kids like.
Me too. Yeah, but what would you say is like the challenging things that buyers ask you? Like, what would be
a challenging buyer is one that doesn't trust the process, because you know me. I explain things as we're going along, so nothing surprising ever hits you, right? And if something surprising does come up, I make sure like I catch up on it so I can explain it as best as I possibly can. But the challenging buyers are the ones that don't trust the process and just the ones that don't trust the process.
When you say trust the process, what is that process?
My process. Like my process, and knowing that I wouldn't ever put my client in the situation where they would feel trapped, and I never want to put somebody in that situation where they feel like, well, I have to do this now because whatever. So trusting my process, because I have a process and it works, and it's proven, like it works, so just trust that I got you.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing, is trust that I got you.
Okay. But if we're being realistic out here, because I know some people are like, even I would, worry about trusting the process. How would you then make them feel secured or confident in like, trust my process? How do you build that relationship with them?
So since I came up with,
I'm glad I'm able to help you.
I know. I came up with a buyer's guide, that I now give to people. And as we're going through the process, I'm like, hey, here's where we're at in this process. Refer to your guide, because it'll pretty much explain everything that you need. But then also, one thing that I'm very good about is checking in with people.
Very good, yeah.
As we're going through the process, I'll tap in and be like, hey, here's where we're at. In 2 weeks is going to be really silent, but just know that things are happening in the background that you don't have to be worried about. So just checking in continuously and given them my guide ahead of time to be like, just read through this, you'll be fine.
When she say silent for 2 weeks, she's not saying like she's not contacting you at all for 2 weeks. She actually pretty much checks in on you like, hey, this is where my process is at the moment. It's just that, you as the buyer won't have to do anything until that time. So she does a lot of like the back work for you, like checking in with the contractors. When would this be done? When can we walk this property? Is this possible to do? This is what my client needs, and da. So I'm just saying that when she says silent, she's working in the back. There's a lot of things going on in the back.
Like things are happening in the background. It just doesn't need to involve the client. So a lot of things are happening in the background.
That's good. Then if we have challenging buyers, are there like challenging contractors or sellers?
So with real estate, buyers move on emotion. Sellers move on price. So sellers and the buyers, you kind of just have to meet them where they're at. But with contractors, especially when we're doing like new construction, that's where it kind of gets hard. And some contractors can be hard to work with only because they don't really give me, the agent, too much information. So I always have to like, hey, can you please let me know where we're at in this? Like, you have to constantly like pick at them. But then I'm the type of person where I never want to be annoying to people. So I find it kind of hard to just be like, hey,
what's the status of
this one? But I do always, and I think just because of my disposition and because I never come in like in a demeaning way, I always get a status report.
That's great. Pretty privileged. No, definitely. I think it's the energy that you have, because it's like, I think you're very patient. And I think people notice that about you. Since we're already on that topic, I just wanted to expand on the information also. There are information basically saying that it's better to purchase a property through builders or sellers straight without having a realtor or an agent in between. So what would you say?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Because when you cut out an agent, and I tell people it's like going to court without a lawyer. So if you wouldn't go to court, let's say you and I got in like an argument or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And we went to court and I said, I'm not going to bring my own lawyer. I'm going to let your lawyer defend me. That's what it's like when you buy a property.
I'm winning this case.
Well, exactly. That's what it's like when you buy a property without having an agent, only because you want to make sure that you have your own representative. If you don't have your own representative, how do you know that you got the best deal? Because an agent can read the contracts and tell you exactly what's in the contracts. Like, you can hold an agent liable if you find something out later down the line that they didn't like protect you from, but if you just use the builder's agent, or if you just use the seller's agent, you're not protecting yourself.
Okay.
You want to protect yourself.
I like that.
That's a big purchase.
Yeah. And definitely, like, I think nowadays, they're all just trying to like make ends meet, and we're like constantly moving, doing our job. And then if you have family, other responsibilities, when would you really have time to do things in the background for like, like what you do for people? Especially, I think it's a state to state base to our case.
Very
I think
true.
Having an agent would really be beneficial. So, to that,
you always want an agent. Always get an agent.
Okay, I think this one, we did real estate. We got to know Keziah a little bit, right? But I wanted to ask you how you're doing since getting out of the military.
Ooh, I don't want to seem over the moon, but I'm doing really good.
Happy for you.
Thank you, because you saw me when I was stressed.
I think I'm just going to take this opportunity to say that sometimes really it is a struggle to put on that uniform, to get up and put on that uniform that you wear every single day.
I think, and I'll tag in, because you saw me at like my last 6 months. Yeah, we met each other in my last 6 months in, and I was just like already over it. And
you can say that. I can't say that you're already checking, because you're already still like worrying about people.
But see, and that's just me though. Like, I worry about people. Yes, I cared about the sailors, but as far as still being active duty, still being in the place, still dealing with the leadership that we had, I was already over it.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I'm just like, ugh. But I'm doing a lot better now. I think it was the move that I needed to make. And I knew I needed to make that move like a long time ago, but a part of like, and I think, why are we about to? No,
it's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's a safe space.
So a part of me wanted so badly for the Navy to work out for me, because you hear all these people that are like, I did 20 years, I did 30 years. It's the best job I ever had. I had hard times, but I stuck it out. And I couldn't keep bringing myself to that place every day. I couldn't see myself just showing up there every single day. There was the day where I was just like, all right, it is time for me to get out. I forget what happened, but all I know is I was in my car during lunch, just like crying my eyes out. And I was just like, yeah, it's time for me to go.
Yeah. We do put up with a lot of things in the military for the sake of the mission.
For the sake of the mission.
a lot of your personal matters and struggles would have to be put on the side. Like your other priorities would have to be moved on the side, because when you take that oath, when you sign that contract, you are it.
That's I think, and one of the biggest things though is, especially because we are medical, our personal ailments get pushed to the back, because you can't ever be sick because the mission needs you. You can't ever be the man down. Who's going to take care of the Marines? Who's going to take care of the other sailors? It made it harder. And I don't know if maybe I should have been like a YN or something. Maybe I would have had more fun. Being a corpsman, it just made it harder, because it felt like I couldn't ever take care of myself because I had to take care of everybody else.
Because you have a very nurturing energy in you.
Well, that too. But I never felt like I could take a day off because I needed to be there to support the mission. Yeah. You know, and every time you take a day off and you come, and that, you know me, I hated taking time off, because as soon as you come back, it's like,
how many leave days did you leave with?
Don't come for me. Like I was never that person to take the days off. So I always had a whole bunch of leave days stacked up, and it was just hard to come back after leave, because it was like, when you take that time off, you have all this free time and you're just relaxing, you're doing ABC. But then when you come back, it's like, I'm right back in this mess.
Yeah.
And it made it harder to keep showing up every day. And no lie, like I would show up mad early and just sit I would park in that really far parking lot and just sit there and watch everybody walk into the building. And
she would come in early. To clarify, she would come in early.
I would come in early just to sit in the parking lot and contemplate, like, I'm really doing this.
She's meditating in her car. She's doing her affirmations in the car.
Our friend, because I was having a physical therapy session with him one day, and he was just like, what time do you show up? And I was like, I mean, I walked through the door at 07. What does it matter?
Yeah.
And he's like, not a good leader, not a good example for your junior sailors. And I was like, look, they see me in that parking lot. And they saw me in the parking lot. So they know I'm here. I'm just not in the building. So I'm always there. And that's it was hard for me to never not be there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, I saw it. You're already checking out. You're not even supposed to be there, but you're there. And I'm like, go, no need to be here. But yeah, so you would say this is your happy place at the moment with real estate compared to? Yeah.
Right now, I think, and I didn't transition completely out. I transitioned into the reserves.
Okay.
I'm doing real estate full time, but I transitioned into the reserves. It's a lot better. I feel, there's so much ease. That's just, because sometimes when you tell me what you're going through, I literally sit there and I'm like, I dealt with that. I put up with those people. The way I would give those people a couple cents on my mind right now. God. So this is definitely a good spot for me.
Okay. I'm very, very happy for you.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you get to do something that you want, right? Because I know some people that got out of the military that are unfortunately did not, really plan ahead before they transition out. They decide this month I'm getting out in 3 months. And it's such a short amount of time for them to properly figure out what they're going to do once you get out of the military. Because once you're out, you lose a lot of benefits, right? I know a lot of people say, oh, you get disability, you get this and that. But in all honesty, it's like, go work. Go figure out what kind of life you would want after the military. You know what I mean?
I tell people before you get out, think about what is it that you like to do and what can you see yourself doing for a long time, right?
This would be an opportunity to actually...
But then if you are the type of person that says, I don't want to work, because I was that person. I was like, oh, I'm not going to work for 6 months. I'm just going to sleep for like the first 3. Make sure you actually save enough money to be able to do that.
That's what I was going to get into. It's not that I'm saying get out and work, but it's like work out your plan. Work out, because you don't want to be just dependent on something that could be taken away from you. You know what I mean? So
and that's the biggest part about the military for me. Is that, yes, the paycheck was stable, but that job for me never felt stable. Yeah. I think that's the, I know it's very like, it's not a vague, it's a heavy statement, but it's like a vague statement to make without giving like too many details. It was just, for me, it never felt too stable. I never felt like I could be in that job comfortably. And I know what you're trying to say.
I hope you guys also know what you're trying to say. I feel like if you're in the military, you would be able to understand that sometimes it's hard to relate if you've never experienced, I don't want to say toxic environment, but it's just a little...
You can say it, toxic environments.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, right? Because it's like, once you're in a space, you don't just deal with the same thing, right? It's like, it's always accumulation of a whole bunch of other things that suddenly it's one big giant thing. You know, so but other than that, would there be anything else that would you say is very interesting to know about Keziah?
I think my biggest thing right now is I'm on a mission to make sure that there's multiple different ways out there to invest, and there's multiple different ways out there to reach certain goals in life. For me, I just found it through real estate, and I want to share that with people. So my biggest thing right now is to make sure that I'm getting that information out there. So I'm about to do a whole bunch of things that I want to be able to take people along on that ride with me. So just follow along.
So what is the next big thing for Keziah?
The next big thing, I'm actually working on a community. Yeah, I'm working on a community for like-minded individuals that want to just start with their VA loan and use that as like their basis to build long-term wealth. So that's what I'm working on.
Would you be teaching them how to create a portfolio?
100%. So we would start... if you don't have a property, we would start with helping you get your first property. And then we would expand on that, how to flip your VA loan multiple times to be able to start collecting assets and build a real estate portfolio.
But how would they get in contact with you to be part of that community?
Well, you can follow me on literally all platforms. It's Keziah Nduro Realtor. On Facebook, IG, on Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, YouTube, Threads, and then on TikTok, it's just Keziah.n. So you can follow me there, or you can just go to my website at KeziahNduro.com.
All right, and that is it for today, guys. I hope you had a wonderful time. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Because I was like, I don't know what people want to know.
No, thank you for coming out. Because when I invited her, she's like, it's always you that doesn't want to go out.
No, for real. I'm not the homebody. She's the homebody. Because at least I will come out the house to do something.
But you go out the house for work. I know.
I will come out the house. She will literally be like, but can my dogs come?
My entire personality is here. But yes, thank you so much for taking the time, introducing yourself, and letting all of us experience Keziah and know about Keziah. We're very excited for what's next for you. And we're going to definitely wait for that community. If you have a wait list and stuff like that.
I do.
Master class.
Yeah. If you go to KeziahNduro.com, you'll be able to get you'll be able to join the wait list. And I'll put it right below. So
I love that. Right. And with that said, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll try to get together again for a more in-depth, maybe educational thing about VA or transitioning out. You let us know what you'd like to know, and then we'll try to get that for you.
100%. We could talk about you becoming a nurse.
Woo!
Bye.